So I finished Nimona like pretty much yesterday, last night, and I fell asleep and I forgot to review it. After I watched it, I was supposed to like review it because I said I was gonna review it after I watched it, but then I was too sleepy to actually do so. And here I am. So yeah, we're just gonna do a quick, review slash thoughts of Nimona. It almost feels like every movie sort of has that style. I seen this with Puss in Boots in Arcane with that, pretty much revolutionary Spider Verse kind of like style to it. And this is one of those movies that sort of play that way, and I couldn't help but really look at it and appreciate the style. I feel like there is a new style of animation that's coming in from the Spider Verse that is definitely gonna, sort of already revolutionary, like, in animation in terms of the West, compared to anime. Even though anime is still superior, there's just something about higher quality animation, especially with Nimona. And this story itself of Nimona surrounding the, pretty much the villain, as he is sort of somewhat portrayed a villain. I couldn't help but think that he's like sort of this villain esque kind of individual where basically he's so soft and you can see it through his heart that he means no harm or anything, but he's sort of caught up in the situation. That's kind of like mostly about him, but also in some ways, yeah, it's mostly about Nimona. Like, I don't know, like I just feel like Ballister or Boldheart like it sort of portrays that way, and I really like the casting in this one. Chloe Grace Moritz, I don't know why I keep seeing her in so many other Netflix, but playing as Nimona really does it so well. It gives that youth in a sense. I don't know how old is Nimona. Like, it just sort of seems like a badass young adult to me. And I got Eugene Lee Yang, which is kind of interesting, playing as Ambrosius. Like, I always keep thinking like if he ever like voices any character, it would be something quirky and queer and just like, but at least it's something that is also in those traits, but at the same time serious and very heartfelt. These two characters, Ballister and Brocious, this, gay couple, it felt so heartfelt. And it's a good thing they have that representation that it gives, because it seems like it sort of feels like a lot of like, gay couple or characters just sort of like always have to be happy, always have to be, jolly, or have to betray only one kind of like gay person. Instead, there's like many sorts that it can portray as, or basically portray as a person that you would think it's straight because he doesn't really act gay in any sense, whatever that means, but actually has a husband. I really appreciate that. I like the difference of like that style that it gives. And for this particular show, yeah, there is some diverse politics surrounding like identity and stuff like that in the beginning. And I thought it was going to be all about that. But just like, the first Spider-Verse, I really, pretty much brushed that away and pretty much focus on the characters as it really introduces the world first. And then it goes into the characters a bit more of like what it has to offer. Because Nimona is that animation. I know it's inspired by the book, the like a book a long time ago. It's like it's called Nimona, but this one happens to be following in its own different kind of animation, which I appreciate. That is very popular in modern days, and how it really, portrays that. It's just it breeds a new skin. It breeds something else, and I really love how this is sort of like, you know an animation that just makes me think of Spider-Verse and Arcane. And Netflix continues to make good animations through something like this as well. Because Nimona, I never heard about it. I just discover it, It's like a book from, like, book for kids. It's like top bookseller from a long time ago. I don't know. But now it's an adaptation of this, and sort of this feels like, something that I don't need to seek to actually see the other Nimona, the older one, to appreciate this one, because I already appreciate so much of what this show, I mean movie gives. I mean, I feel like there could have been more from what Nimona has to offer, because you see a lot of her character and how it says like it's supposed to be like a heartfelt action adventure really betrays that, because it's Nimona. They don't go into a character like it's always like it seems like a mystery at first, but then we get into her And it seems like almost each one of these characters has a heartfelt moment through who they are personally, because it's personal. Nimona is a personal about being yourself, and also, but it really plays into a different way. Sort of like, like I would thought it was going to be a villain noir, like kind of like adaptation into it, like of how we're just seeking the villains, but the villains sort of becomes the heroes. And this one, I've seen so many other animations that sort of portrays that, but this one just, I don't know, it felt right. There's just something about it where I feel like I could have seen this like a long time ago, but no, here we are actually, witnessing it, and as it's gaining popularity because of just the amount of popularity that it's giving through so many people that actually are seeing this. Like it's something about like maybe the story and the animation itself, or of course like the gay couple being Balzer, and also Eugene's character as well, Brocious. And it's such an unexpected turns of events through this animation. Like, who is the enemy? Who is the good or bad person? Did Nimona really run off, or like what happened to her? What's her past? Is this something that, like, you sort of see things like what it's gonna play through, but it doesn't go that way. There are so many, it. I feel like for most of the times, the writers really truly had fun writing this animation. They had fun. There doesn't need to be moments of like, oh, what you're gonna do in this situation, and a whole entire plot plan, as if it's like kind of like the same setup itself or something for other movies, other action movies, or as the way I put it, like I seen like Metal Gear, kind of like just putting like, oh, playing this, and we're gonna go through here, and we're gonna connect, and it doesn't need to work that way. It does its time very well, and that's why most of the time I feel like there could have been more, because we could have adapted a little bit of like, how do we escape from the cell, how do we get to this position, how did Ballister and Nimona actually went to the director's office, like how did pretty much everyone else not liking Ballister, how did that affect them? And we saw that emotions through him as a character. And it doesn't need to go that way. I feel like, it's not a rush, but it feels like it's such a perfect timing for what this is. It's such an appetizing kind of like, transitions for most of this, what it gives. And I appreciate that. I appreciate how it really, it doesn't go fully complicated and simplified of like how it's supposed to actually, finish its missions and the plots that it's sort of unravels, because it already unravels through the main story. And there is so many points of this where you feel for Nimona, you feel for the characters, you feel for like what they're going through, for Bushes, for Balster. And it takes me a while to actually like Nimona. At first I didn't really much care but then as I see through her, and her, maybe it's because of her abilities and how she's invincible. That's also a cool way of seeing it. How can she, she can also shape shift and stuff like that. There's so many possibilities, and what path they went through actually was good enough to really showcase her powers and what she does. And the shocking elements of like what Ballister did, being announced king, and the event happened, which I'm not gonna spoil, really had me shocked. There were so many points of this where it had me shocked, and it was like, wow. It's not the action scenes that surprised me. It's the moments and the decisions, like, wait, this really happened? That happened? There's some dark tones to this movie as well, especially the scene of broches in the director's office. And like the applications of like childhood trauma surrounding Nimona. Like, there's many dark points around this, but I feel like those points are so important, knowing about it's discovering yourself, and it's trying to teach a lesson. It not like really teach a lesson, but actually trying to sort of have that sense of advice and awareness that it gives. And at least the way I see it, there's like, it's not perfect, but to me, I like the performance, and I like how everything it is set up, and the memories that it gives. Like, that's truly what I see through Nimona. I'm a person that is very optimistic when I see something this beautiful. A lot of times the story can be bad, and pretty much I would not mind it, because I'm all about the world building. I'm all about seeking the world. Like, what is up with this castle? If I can see it, I believe it. If The same thing, like for example, like some movies like Blade Runner. I don't really care about anything about the story of Blade Runner, to be honest. I just love the world that Blade Runner is set in, and it just makes me appreciate the movie more to the point where it kind of overshadows, like, what I really seek through the movie. Nimona is like the other way because the world is interesting, it's beautiful, that's for sure. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure where it's based in. I don't know if there's like some relationship between the UK and the USA actually making a kingdom like this with castles and it's set in the future. I don't know. But I don't really care much about the world, more so that I really care about the characters because that's what I cared about. What Riz's performance did and Eugene as well. And I don't really care about, what that other knight character that's supposed to be portrayed as a douche in this and it really did. But also like the past of like Nimona and the people that, and what she turns into, the people that she sees, like that I'm so compatible to that more, and that means this movie just did its job for actually what I liked and what I enjoyed from it. Some people might see it different. I know I did probably a bit more, and if I get into it, there's some adaptations to it where I'm just like, there's some stuff that I miss, but I'm not here to overanalyze or anything like that. I'm just telling you that I enjoyed this movie and it was amazing. It's worth watching, and it's something that I want to see more within the animation world because it seems like there's this new style going on within animation through this movie and how other movies portray us that. Other than that, that's all it is. That's all I have to say. One love and yeah, a peace.